Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Let's just give everyone else a few minutes to join. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the 9th session of the Podium Tech Talk series, organized by Asiata Digital Labs. The purpose behind putting together this series of interactive and knowledgeable webinars is to enlighten you on the latest trends in the world of digital transformation and how Asiata Digital Labs provides services that accelerate the global digital adoption of businesses around the world. We warmly welcome our speaker for today's session, Senthuran Nallainathan, who is a strong IT professional with over 10 years of experience in the fields of software engineering, technical leadership, and team management. Senthuran Nallainathan is a highly qualified and experienced tech lead software engineer at the lab. He holds a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity from the University of Gloucestershire. He completed his postgraduate diploma in IT at the British Computer Society and obtained his MBA from the University of West London, and he is also currently reading his PhD in ICT. Today's session will be on how to architect a business platform, and our speakers will touch on some main topics such as the primary goals when architecting a platform business, the key methodology that lies behind it, establishing an architecturally sound solution, cost-wise effort estimation, why you need to lead and not manage, the divorce of tech and business. So without further ado, I'll hand over the session to Senthuran. Senthuran, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. And first of all, thank you for the participation in this session. So today we will be mainly discussing about the platform business. So what is platform business? So here we can see platform business is a latest concept of having a solution built based on existing available solutions built by existing development services and companies. So the advantage and the critical importance of this is because at this point in today's world, we have plenty of softwares available, softwares, platforms, and technologies already available. So in order to leverage the existing platforms and produce more architecturally sound and provide customers with cutting edge solutions, we would need to understand and integrate the existing platforms and existing softwares and find a way which provides a better integration, better integrated as a whole, rather than building everything from scratch, which definitely is kind of reinventing the wheel, which is not appropriate and not cost effective either. So in today's world, we have several platforms and applications already available, and the importance of finding a common ground and getting a architecturally sound platform solution is utmost important, and this is something that we are going to look into today. So today's agenda would mainly be the introduction, primary goals, key methodology, and establishment of architecturally sound solution. So in addition to that, we will also consider cost-wise effort estimation and leading, not managing, and diverse of the tech and business, which is one of the important aspects. And also, finally, we would go on to summarizing these things. So mainly, first we will move into the basis of introduction. So today we see multiple platform solutions showcases and increases strengths, mainly due to several requirements are already available as independent applications. So for example, when it comes to finance or basic calculators and similar solutions, if you want to have your platform with a calculator, there is no basis to create a new calculator application because already there are several calculators up there in the market. So if you are going to utilize and develop a solution, definitely you should consider existing applications such as the calculator in this example to be better integrated. And in that case, we would encounter several issues such as not up to the standards, certain applications are not completely managed and not up to date. So these things needs to be considered before integrating. But mainly, we should not need to reinvent the wheel again. And also we can see solutions are becoming complex. Hence, developing a ground up solutions are too complicated. So what does that mean is if it is too complicated, then definitely it would be too costly as well. So therefore, integrating existing solutions are a key aspect, and which is what we would be seeing on integrating of platform solutions. So when it comes to develop a platform, business platform, the main things we need to consider or the main ability of the application, that is the main or let's say the super application, we should be able to integrate, we should be able and capable to absorb and be integrated with different diverse levels of platforms dynamically. That means they are the software engineering industry and the softwares are evolving time to time. So therefore, the ability to integrate and the ability capability of the application itself to absorb different patterned platforms in a dynamic manner is very important. Hence, such applications or the super app should be built in a way which can accommodate all kinds of and increasing evolved applications. In such instances, when it comes to modeling a platform business, definitely the architectural system would be more complex and therefore time should be invested on planning and designing before development. And mainly communication, one of the key aspects which is very important to establish a relationship with multiple partners. As we see, when it comes to platform business, there would be many partners involved in this, such as strategic partners. For example, if it is a calculator, the developer of the calculator, or a financial application which provides mortgages, then the bank would be the partner. And similarly, we would need to establish multiple partners and then through better communication, ideally, we should be able to understand the existing systems and pave a way for them to be able to integrate successfully into the current super platform. So in this approach, technically, there should be a standardized and universal architecture. So this is one of the key aspects which we need to invest our time in and plan accordingly. So the design of a universal standardized architecture is a key aspect when it comes to designing platform businesses. Why this is important is because we would be having several, as we earlier mentioned, we would be having diverse platforms and we need to have a dynamic pathway to integrate them. And therefore, universalized architecture, which should be standardized at the same time, which should be designed in a way to accommodate existing and even new upcoming solutions. So the standardized pathway will help us evolve the architecture and at the same time allow us accommodate different, even upcoming software solutions out there in the market without affecting or amending the existing code bases. So the methodology, the key methodology. So what we are going to see here in this slide would be the methodology in we should be adhered to or could be taken as a guideline in an attempt to understand and create such platform business solutions. Mainly version management and version control. Version management is where the versions continuously evolve as we see, as the existing applications move on to new applications. The versions evolve, versions increase, and therefore version maintenance and management or the control is important. And mainly when it comes to version control, most of the consideration would be onto the repo, not only the repo, but the documentations and everything. Everything should be accounted and accommodated within the version management. And if the only the repo is version control, then there would be a disaster in the long run. So to eliminate or at least mitigate such impacts, the version control should be packaged for all the development related and documentation related aspects. So that starts from the sales, business analysis, software development and engineering, QA, and even closing the deals and at the architectural level as well. So the entire process should be version managed or version controlled rather than only the repo. This is one of the important aspects which is not covered by most uh, leading platforms, which resulted in later issues which cost more time as we see the productivity and the development effort would be lower in the starting stages of the platform or the solution development. But as the growth is there, as with more time, the maintenance of the same platform, the maintainability will be lost. So therefore, the maintenance of the platform for most of the application, even the leading applications out there currently in the market, would consume much more time, especially dev time and entire time of the engineers, and therefore automatically warrants higher cost to just maintain the application. So therefore, this is something which needs to be considered early upon, unless the impact would not be seen at the early stages, but only at the later stages. Ideally, those impacts would be seen after go-to-market stages, likely once the active user counts exceeds in 1 to 2 years time. So evolving the architecture which accommodates flexibility and dynamic upscaling of versions. So the architecture should also be evolved. It should be designed in a way which accepts change. So architecture to be designed in a way which accepts change in pattern where evolving concepts should be considered and taken into account and to be accommodated with complete flexibility and with dynamic mechanism. So for example, an existing software should not be warranted to a complete architectural redesign just because the software is evolving. For example, uh, applications such as a calculator version 1 should not need a complete architectural revamp for version 2.0. That means the architecture diagram is not accepting or accommodating evolution, which is not acceptable and will not be a successful planned for a resilient architecture. So for example, certain applications out there are evolving. For example, almost all the applications evolve just like as humans evolve. So the similar concepts, just as how engineering concepts based on the human concepts such as evolution, and also in today's era neural networks is how the existing human uh, neurological brain aspects work. So therefore, evolution should be accommodated unless, which we can see, certain applications, mainly banks and similar applications, would reintroduce a new software, just not evolving the existing software, but just introduce a new software. These are some of the reasons the architecture is not bulletproof and not accommodating change or evolution. So for this, we should think ahead and design a resilient architecture which is bulletproof and sound, which will accommodate different pressure and impactful scenarios, and would be resilient regardless of whatever changes it may go through. For example, high workloads could be a basic uh, thinkable changes, but still high workload performance machines should be accommodated, and this should be thought ahead and planned accordingly. For example, such boosts are seen on most of the e-commerce platforms out there during the COVID pandemic. So thinking the unthinkable is one of the key things you should consider as IT professionals. So, for example, the COVID pandemic has driven existing just 100, 200 page e-commerce websites to millions. This has given crashes and similar impactful situations, and has resulted in brand image reputational crisis for them due to unavailability. So the impact would be significant, and therefore a resilient think thought ahead design is very important. And in such designs, universality and standardization should be maintained in order to reveal the common ground. So why the standardization and universal aspects are important, just like the open office, open concepts out there in the market currently, because due to the several implementations of exchange platforms and informations exchanges, and even the software developments, if the universality is lost and if it is not standardized, then an entire redesign to accommodate new changes are needed, which is definitely more complex and cost costly, which would not warrant a business case. Therefore, due to the earlier at the initial stages, designing won't be a big impact, but later on, once the existing system is there and new impactful applications are integrated, then there won't be a way. If it is not thought ahead, then there would not be a way to plug it in. And therefore, a universal and standardized design is at most important. And also, dynamic, flexible, and agile are key. For example, the architecture should be dynamic. For example, new completely different banking system is integrated, and the architecture should be built or designed in a way and should be flexible enough to accommodate such new system. For example, a banking system out there is going to introduce QR payments, and in future it might even introduce a iris scanner. Currently the fingerprint scanners or the face IDs are used, but in such instances, if mobile phones gets advanced to that stage, the architecture should be built in a way to accommodate such changes, unless it would result in building a house and then completely destroying it just because you need to change a specific room. So the thing is, initially, the time worth investing is actually worth investing, and the complete building is not required. There should be pathways and open areas which should be dynamic and flexible and also agile. That means should be able to change in a fast changing paced environment, but not necessarily all the existing architecture should support the iris scanner, but it should be built in a way to enable and easily plug in if an iris scanner is on the market. So that is how dynamic and flexibility is very important, and agility is very important in today's case scenarios, as uh, we see most of the developments have switched from waterfall to agile model due to its popularity of success. Using best of all worlds domains means utilizing latest technologies, latest applications within the solutions you propose. For example, you as developers, IT professionals, and business analysts, sales, or anyone involved in IT, be it QA, be it architects, be it whatever, involved in IT, should keep it up to date with latest technology trends. Not necessarily just because you see a new trend, you need to adapt to it, but knowing it will only be better, because without knowing it, you will not be in a position to make informed decisions, as you would not be aware of that. Therefore, you would have no data or information about that. Therefore, you would not be in a position to take informed decisions. So therefore, you should always be up to date with latest technical trends. And for your personal development, if you are interested in, therefore, you should be testing those applications for some portfolio basic projects, be it a very basic projects, that's nothing, but you get a hands-on experience and you would be having a sound knowledge because you have that hands-on experience. Be it a very basic login page, that's fine. We do not need to build an entire solution to understand the new tech trends. Even it is a very basic thing, that hands-on experience will give you exposure to the new trends, and therefore you will be in a very good position to see you would when new solutions are being proposed, you would be in a very good position to propose whether that technical new technology is suitable and useful for this or not, because you have already hands-on experience and you know the benefits of that. So therefore, you should consider software engineering, DevOps, and cloud, or whatever it is. You should be up to date with the latest tech trends. For example, if the latest tech trends are not adhered to, still we would be in a LAMP stack era, where Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP era. So microservices would never be there if new trends were not accommodated. It would still have been the monolithic architecture. So therefore, the consideration of the new trends and adoption, even in the current scenario, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and similar aspects needs to be taken into account even on small solutions. Not to over-engineer an existing solution, but to add value and provide a value-added product at the end of the day with new up-to-date solutions. At this current era, it could be AI, ML, and even further. Establishing of the initial relationship with partners or strategic partners and clients would be explain to the client like he is 5 years old. So client could be from a tech background, he or she could be a technical person or from business or whatever it is. So they have built several applications, but if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. So that means if you cannot explain to your client as the client thinking the client is 5 years old, then that means you do not know the solution completely. You should, in the initial phases, you will understand the system, but you will not completely understand it. With time, you will completely understand it. Understanding in the sense, it could be the tech stack, it could be the software solution you are building or anything it could be. But once you completely start understanding, your brain will automatically break it into simple pieces, and you would be in a position with time and experience to explain in very, very simple terms, because be it rocket science, but still rocket science could be explained in secondary school or even primary school textbooks. Hence, regardless of it being a rocket science or whatever, the simple abstract explanation should be very simply and easily understandable to even a child. So that's why you should always take baby steps onto complex solutions slowly. They break it even and take simple and baby steps uh, in proposing a solution. Mainly it comes to architecting business platform solutions. When you're explaining to a new partner, you should be taking baby steps. Why? Because you have already worked on this for a year or even many years, but they are listening it today. So your client is actually listening it today. So you cannot expect them to understand at the technical level or the complex level you are currently at, because you have already worked on this. So it might look simple, but for them it's new. And also you should be confident in the solution you are presenting. And therefore, initial relationship explaining, you should be training yourself to explain it to a 6-year-old. At that level, you would have a fully understanding of the solution. And at any point of the time, even when someone wakes you up in the night, you would be in a position to explain the system very simply, because you do not need to prepare. It is currently in your subconscious memory, because you have understood and digested it fully. Expect and try to achieve that level of expertise on your solutions even from now onwards. This would be very helpful for you and your career. Next, we would go to listen first and talk second. So always you should try to listen first. Sometimes it might be tempting to talk first, but the thing is, if you are not listening and you are just talking, then there is no input. So you have no process and only the output is there. So that means there is no processed output. It's just output of data, not output of information. As you would have learned, computers will change data into information. But if you just talk, you would just be outputting data, not information, because there is no input, because you haven't listened. And then there is no processing of the information either. So first, listen. Try to practice this. And this would be helpful for your clients, your colleagues, and everyone. Therefore, you would be providing a better solution and better answer in a very short period of time rather than extension of meetings or discussions. Even in the meetings, you should try these things. So this would help you understand what they are coming to, what they are trying to ask, and what their thinking pattern is. reminds you when you listen. And also it provides an easier communication space. It takes time uh, for the people to create the mind maps through words. So in their brains, they will start creating mind maps. So just leave time and let them speak. Initially, they might be proposing something, but thereafter it might get changed. So to explain, as they are from different backgrounds, or even it could be same with different experiences, it will take them time to provide their mind map into words. So if you listen first and take notes, it would help you provide a better answer to their question, because first it will help you uh, understand what the question is. As you see, similarly, once you just walk through exam papers or something, certain exam papers and similar aspects, we would be you would have taken note that certain questions are different. Once you have written the answer, you would understand that you have written it wrong, because you just went through the question again and you saw the question is actually the different thing. So likely this would have happened in your lives. So that is the same once you just try to talk. So once you listen and create their mind maps and understood their words, understood their minds, it would be helpful. And also you can take notes in the meetings, and it will definitely help you easily review and reduce or eliminate the chances of missing requirements when it is business analysis or similarly at any level. It would help reduce, because it's hard to actually have everything in your mind. So definitely it's not rude to take notes. It actually shows you and anchor you are encouraged, and it actually shows your dedication and commitment to have a complete understanding. It's not rude to take notes in a meeting. So therefore, take notes as and when necessary in order to provide a complete uh, solution without losing cutting corners. Gauge the expectation. You would be in a position with experience to gauge the expectation and elicit the requirements as they talk. Based on their talking patterns and their style and those things, you would be able to understand what they are expecting. But still, it's once you gauge it, you should provide the solution. Don't just take it as assumptions, as assumptions and presumptions won't work. You can gauge, but that doesn't mean you need to assume. You just need to provide a solution and see whether that's what we have gauged as expectation from them is correct, is ideal. If it is right, then they would be happy. They might not tell that, but they would be in the way they talk, you would be able to gauge it, and you can provide that, then you can elicit more. Perform POC is important. This would create client confidence and also prune or eliminate or remove compatibility issues and mix and match issues, which would occur with when solutions are built without POCs. So POCs, MVPs are critical factors which should not be left upon. And even you should, as earlier discussed in the decision of architectural sound system, you should have uh, built a way where the POCs or the MVP should not be scraped. It should be built in a way that fits into the existing system, unless if the MVP or POC takes 10% to 20% of the actual development time, then it is not a big deal to scrape. But if it takes to 50% of the time to build the MVP, it should never be scrapped. It should be built and architected in a way where it balance 50% of the time can be invested and built into a complete workable platform, unless you would be spending 150% of the time, because 50% of the work is scraped and again you are going to work for 100% of the product. So therefore, POC MVPs should be dynamic and flexible, which could be evolved as we see the keywords repeating within the slides itself. we should be having the dynamic and flexibility of the POCs. We should be in a position to evolve. This is something which we talked earlier about the evolution. So should be able to evolve into a complete system or be built into the existing system. Then hence the pattern should have pathways to uh, connect with the existing system. So we cannot just build a separate system and scrap it off, unless if it is a at the meeting demonstration and similar aspects, that's fine. That's what I have mentioned earlier, that 10 to 20%, if it is the MVP or POC time takes only 10% of the actual product, then if it is very urgent, ideally should be evolved. But if with the requirement is urgent and you need to show off 10% and the PO is not guaranteed, then therefore you should not be spending 50 to 100% of the time, and you can just put a MVP at 10% and scrap it off. But if you see confidence in the PO and similar aspects, then if the POC or MVP is estimated to have 50%, then it should be architected in a way to evolve. So, so now we come into the position of architecturally sound. This considers building architecturally sound solutions, starting from simple steps. So this is not this is for architects, but this is not only for architects. Every engineer or the development person, lead business analyst should think in an architect's way. It should think in a way of understanding the abstract cases till the concrete level. Just as the first point mentions, break down problems to smaller pieces. So uh, from the abstract case to the concrete case. So abstract case means the existing thing. For example, when it comes to a TV, this example would be mostly available in most of the textbooks of software engineering, where for example, says WOP principles for encapsulation and similar. For example, just see for the abstract and concrete, once you see a TV box, you see only the screen and a switch to on and a remote. Wait, that's the abstract case. So once you click the remote or press on the TV starts working. But the concrete case is the minute circuits and the internal aspects, how the LCD screen connects with the IC board and what chips are working together to transfer the analog signal to digital. This is the concrete case. So therefore, as an engineer or as a business analyst or as an architect, IT professional, you should be in a position to understand the abstract case and think bigger, understand the bigger picture, not the concrete picture. For example, when it comes to a SC software engineering explanation, if you are thinking about integrating uh, JWT or JSON token based authentication for login form, you should not just see the login form. You should see the bigger picture, how the communication happens with the server, how the tokens are being transmitted, how the private keys or the secrets are being considered, and how these data are going to be transferred within the system. And if you see that bigger picture, definitely you will be in a more good position to create a better solution. And also you would be in a position to detect the defects on your own. So that would definitely save entire time and also definitely helps your career. And it will definitely save time mainly, because unless these defects are going to be found even after GTM. So think like an architect or think for the bigger picture, not just the concrete task you are assigned to or you are working on. So to build architecturally sound solutions, what you need to do is to break down problems to smaller pieces, decouple complex requirements. That means requirements would be complex, even if it looks like in a one sentence. Definitely once you break it down, you will understand the complexity of the requirement. So you need to decouple and make it simple pieces of requirements rather than seeing the complex requirement. You cannot build a solution for a complex requirement, definitely. So, for example, when it comes to question papers or similarly, you should, when it comes to a complete paragraph in a question paper, you would definitely be breaking it down. You would not be in a position to answer it just as you read. You would need to break it down, you need to work out, and then only you would be answering the simple questions. So maybe easy, it would be easier for you to just like that. Complex solutions, complex requirements need to be decoupled and broken down into very, very small pieces as possible, but not too small to be to an optimal level of good understanding to everyone. That should be in a level of and level of understanding should be not only you but to almost everyone, as we earlier saw, as explained like AMP5. Similarly, you should break it down to a very simple level, just by we all could understand. Because, for example, if you just break it down directly, you would see at your level with your experience, you might not break it down very smaller, and that would create conflicts when you assign or decouple those tasks to someone else or delegate those tasks. So that's why you should, the best breaking down or the decouplement would be very, very small pieces where 5-year-old could understand. And also, never try to reinvent the wheel, because you should can compare comparable solutions which are already in the market. For example, if you are going to create a e-commerce platform, that doesn't mean you are the first in the world to create an e-commerce platform. Almost most or 99% of the use cases which you see in the early era, it might not be the same, but at the current era, currently, once you get a requirement from the client, definitely you would be in a position to find some capable solutions, comparable solutions there. For example, if the client is requesting that, because usually the clients would request based on what they have experienced. So they have seen it, experienced it somewhere. That's why they are requesting that. So hence, it likely won't be a completely new thing. So definitely you should compare and study and then decouple that. Then you can add value. You could be adding value. That doesn't mean you are just copying and pasting or the cloning the existing repo. No, not that. Once you have a comparable solution, you would be able to do better analysis and better elicit the requirements and understand the client's view. Then you can add value based on the client's expectation, and you would be a differentiator. You will build a product that is differentiated from the market. For example, you would be in a position to create a banking application. So almost all the bank you are being contracted to create a banking application. Almost all the banks would be having a separate application. So definitely, once you create a banking application, existing banks would already have an application. So therefore, you need to study that. Then you would be able to be in a position to differentiate in the market. For example, you can build something which would accept a QR payment, which the client would be happy to have, which would not be available in the existing bank application. Then your bank's application would be a differentiator. But the transactions and the method of transactions, how these databases are managed on such deadlock scenarios and those things would be similar, would be completely similar. But the QR addition, for example, would be the differentiator. So other things you do not need to reinvent, but the differentiators and value addition you could do. If you are completely building it ground up, then definitely you will not be in a position to value add, because you would be already packed up with these things which is already you are reinventing the wheel. So you would be thinking you would not have time or you do not have the mental space to add value. So find comparable solutions, first study, make it that, and then find the differentiator and then try to add value. Elimination or reduction of the dependencies to the maximum possible level is also important. So for example, dependencies you should not just get npm.js libraries and just integrate it. No, you should study based on their downloads, based on their current week's downloads, based on the years it has been in the market, based on the last update of the repo. Those things are needed to select a dependency. But ideally, reducing or eliminating such dependencies is best. So if you are building a product, just go for that dependency, not for a third-party build dependency. If you are getting a product like Zendesk, you should be getting the SDKs from the Zendesk itself, rather than getting a SDK from existing or third-party build, because there would be several third-party build. But still, because it would be maintained as you have been subscribed, and when you take it from the vendor. But ideally, if you have a possibility to eliminate or reduce those dependencies to the maximum possible, that would be the ideal case, because without dependencies, your platform needs reduced checking in regards to usability and performance, because the dependencies would be very low, and therefore the dependencies lock would be very low at NFR level. So that's something non-functional requirements which we see: security, scalability, redundancy, availability, and all the abilities. That means, for example, if you have a dependency, it will affect the security, it will affect the scalability of the software, it will because it will not allow you, it will communicate to third parties, it will affect the availability of the software because it would have downtimes when the dependency is there, and it would create redundancy issues as well. So NFRs is mainly an architect's thing. NFR something architecture should consider. That doesn't mean others should not consider. Architecture of the platform is mainly within the NFRs, non-functional requirements. So having an architectural system is taking into account of the NFRs, that is non-functional requirements. These help you build sound solutions. Sound solutions is something that lasts continuously till today, not something which is scraped off each and every time. So that's what we call architecturally sound solutions. So when it comes to providing solutions, we should check a pace-wise approach. That is baby steps as we consider immediate complex implementation, and helping reduce complexity will help reduce risk. That means if you have reducing the complexity, the implementation level risk will be reduced. For example, if you have a very complex system, then you don't know where it have affected, so the time to attend all these gets increased. So it will provide risk, it will increase risk. So the risk can be reduced once, as if you uh, follow reduce complexity approaches, as we mentioned earlier. And also phase solution will be also reduce risk, because phase solution means you are breaking down phase by phase rather than complete implementation. That's ideal more for complex solutions. And this will also create the, when partnering with clients, and this will also provide reduce bugs, because if phases are carefully decoupled, the bugs and defects at the integration level and at the complex level is high, because mostly in the independent bugs could be fixed, but at the dependency or the higher level module level mixed up bugs is hard to find and hard to fix, hard to give a solution. So therefore phase wise completely decoupled architecture is ideal to remove and reduce maintenance problems which occur, as we discussed earlier, in the maintainability of the software. Also, you should provide breathing space to the client to digest, and also provide alternative solutions based on their capacity, because you should not push everything which will remove their breathing space. and affect their capacity. So gauge their capacity, provide alternative solutions such as phase by phase or step by step, and also provide breathing space to the client or the partner. If you are just partnering with a client and you are asking for an entire application to be rebuilt, it would not be a positive answer from them in the business perspective. Therefore, provide breathing space and go one by one. For you, it's a 1 day job because you have 1 year or several years experience on that. But for them, it would something take time. So therefore, provide a breathing space. And with fast, smaller solutions, the ideal benefit is you can seek a lock-in, because once you have shown the entire pathway and they are happy, and with easy step-by-step integrations, you can seek a lock-in with the client, because the client would be helpful and they also don't need to spend too much time, and they can have a breathing space and go one by one rather than having the complete solution. And for example, just see in your own scenario. That's why SaaS companies are successful, that is software as a service companies, in monthly subscription perspective rather than off the shelf software. Now you would see even Microsoft Office or the um, larger Microsoft products are also available in a monthly subscription manner. Why? The reason is the ability of having a breathing space. For example, it could be finance, it could be technical, whatever it is. If they are going to pay monthly or if they are going to take baby steps in each month, then definitely, just like how EMI plans and the monthly installment plans out there, SaaS companies took the same approach. They take monthly wise payments, and finally this helps them achieve more customers and lock in with the client, because the client would be happy and the client would have the incremental delivery just like in agile framework, rather than complete lock in where you just sell Office 365 CD for 100,000. The person is less likely to buy. That's why uh, this is the same with the client, just like Office or those applications have did to log in with the client. Once you provide smaller solutions, it's easier for you and also for the client, provides a scaling opportunity and does not scare them away. We can then come to the cost-wise effort planning. So what we see here is business decisions are taken based on numbers. You can see strategic levels, tactical levels of your own company, of any company. You would see board does not take decisions based on text. They take decisions based on numbers, and for that numbers, affirmed text. So not alone with text. So numbers with text adds more value, gives more clarity, gives more understanding to the client, to everyone. So efforts are estimated at operational level. What you see is man hours or main days or maybe sprint. So this level, the business units and clients should and you use cost-wise estimation for better return on investment for planning and elimination. So this would help focus on actual value addition. Let's say you are building a calculator application, or let's say not towards calculator, we would consider a more complex application. Now there is an application for a bank you have built where you would be utilizing QR code transaction. Now, for this QR code, you would have an option to scan merchants. Now it also enables options to scan discount coupons and those things, and also several other aspects. Now, the value addition is considered. Let's say the application, uh, I will just repeat it for better understanding. You are building a banking application, and for the banking application, you have a scanner, QR scanner. In this QR scanner, you ideally can scan a merchant and make the payment. That is the ideal requirement. Now you are the business or planning to expand this requirement into be able to scan QR codes, be able to scan products and provide a fully fledged solution. Ideally, when you see in the man hours or the sprints, which is currently in the agile framework, what happens is you would say QR application front end would take 10 man days for the report. Another backend would take another 10 days, and this discount coupon would take another 20 days. Merchant plan would take 10 days. Now, just having man days, will that be effective, or the number of sprints effective solution for business? For operational perspective at development level, it might be, but it would not be cost wise. It's not something strategic. Even it is numbers, it's not value. So there is nothing to compare if the value is not there. So that's why we need to go for cost wise effort planning. For example, how we can build it. For the billing rate per engineer, we could see cost to company plus margin. This is an ideal application of accounting which development teams can consider within large organizations and also startups. So CTC is cost to company. Why CTC is considered is cost to company includes insurance amounts, EPF, ETF percentages which are provided by the company owners. That is the cost to keep the person within the company. It is not the net salary, but the cost to company. Actually, the net salary and the cost to company will have 15, 20 or 25% difference, or even higher. It depends on the benefit. But in the company's perspective, CTC is considered. So that is 150,000 LKR plus a margin. Margin is where service-based companies such as including ADL might provide for internal or external customers for costing aspects, such as even manufacturing companies which uses margin possible. So based on the billing rate, there would be a margin that would be effective for the gross profit margin. So it depends. The costing would be effective when services are provided or development services are provided as solutions to contracted parties. This can also be considered for product companies as well, but the application might be a bit different because product companies do not rely on this, but still product companies where they make money on the ideal product can consider this for feature addition. Just like now what we are considering the feature additions, product companies can consider this for feature additions. So average net days per year means the deduction after public holidays and the entitled leaves, because that should be considered. So therefore that once the entitled leaves are deducted, the actual company can expect 205 days per year. So therefore per hour will cost 1097.5 rupees. So at a plan, once now let's say if you need a chat pop-up feature or the QR code merchant discount feature. Now once the person says 2 man days, it has no value. There is nothing to compare and there is no decision making point. But rather than that, if they say 17,560 rupees based on the above billing rate and the per hour rate, this was calculated at 8 hours per day. So 17,560 rupees. You would be in a better position whether this chat pop-up feature will have a positive result. So therefore, feature additions should better be planned in cost-wise effort planning, even services or product, including the margin. Here the margin was not included, but therefore the margin needs to be included. The margin inclusive salary is 150,000, but margin can be separately included. So also margin included. This allows help higher financial picture. That means the net present value for, let's say, if the complete chat application will cost you 1 million and the chat pop-up will cost you 500,000, we can split it and see whether this chat pop-up feature is going to give us independently additional revenue, whether that's a complementary item, supplementary item, or it's a supportive item, whether that is going to provide us positive returns. So similar calculation with teams as well. For larger tasks, it would be sprint level. with apportioned costs for architects, tech leads, sales, business analysts, everyone. Apportioned cost will be there from the higher level managements. So similar calculations will provide better sprint level financial understanding of cost-wise effort planning. So ideally, cost-wise effort planning is something to be adapted to provide clear financial picture and take more informed decisions, and therefore rule out which features are going to value it and which are not. This allows removal of such features from the list and enable us to provide better, cost-effective and value-added solutions to the customers, which they would be happy and they would be making more revenue. The more the return on investment of the customer and more we help them make better informed solutions, the more the customer is happy. Actually, the software development company runs on the profits of the customers. So the more successful the customer is, the more profit or the revenue the software companies will make. Leading and not managing is one of the keys. Where leadership, you should be providing leadership to the team, which will provide long lasting impact and cultivates positive culture within the company. And leaders remain among followers, because leaders will remain even if they leave the company or even if they go abroad, whatever it is, because leaders will be remembered and leaders will be followed, and leaders nurture similar leaders within their team. So that's why leading is very important and not managing. Managing is old school principle, and just managing will, without leading, that is, that will provide a disaster. Especially managing is not effective as proven by scientific studies at knowledge workers, that is software engineers are knowledge workers, and therefore that means they are using their knowledge as a means of employment and income, and therefore knowledge workers cannot be managed easily, and managing of knowledge workers is not productive and not effective. Either leading will provide better opportunity, and this leadership quality should be nurtured within everyone, because everyone who is going to be a leader somewhere today or tomorrow. So in the future, leaders make leaders. Managers do not make managers. So therefore, manager do not want a person behind them, below them to become a manager. It will threaten their position. But leaders love to make their people who follow them to be leaders, because leaders are different, and that creates long lasting impact, and the respect they earn is not worn out even after uh, they are left leaving or retirement. That's why leaders are notable characters within the professional industry, which you would see, not managers, but the leaders are known people within the industry, regardless of the companies they are associated to. So nurturing leaders is a benefit for the company and the company culture, and improves or cultivates positive impact. And in such instances, delegation of duties but is possible, but responsibility or accountability cannot be delegated. Just because you are uh, a team lead for people of 10, that means you can delegate the duties. Yes, of course, you have 10 people and 10 engineers, okay, you can delegate, but that doesn't mean you can delegate the responsibility. You cannot say that person didn't do this, so therefore I cannot do this. So you cannot delegate the accountability. Only the duties can be delegated. Therefore, that needs to be considered when you are leading and delegating duties. Responsibility and accountability comes under you. That's why you are a team lead or a lead in a leadership position. But that doesn't mean it means the leaders above you would rely on you for the responsibility and accountability, and not your counterparts. So duties can be delegated, but the responsibility and making it done, making is something you should be taking into your account. It should be your responsibility and accountability. So business opportunities are like buses, what we see. There is always another one coming, so don't miss it. So just like just like you cannot miss a bus, you should consider, even if it is continuously coming, you should not miss it, and take opportunity, grab the opportunity when and then and there, which would be a positive thing. This quote from Richard Branson. And divorce of tech and business. So this is some of the most critical part which we see in today's era, where the marriage of tech and business happened during project initialization, where the business and tech provides a clear output and shows this can be achieved. But divorce occurs during delivery, because to overcome this, or to understand the reasons behind this, is because not thinking the bigger picture, understanding of the things, thinking like an architect is something each developer has to follow, as we see, as mentioned earlier. For example, understanding abstractly and dive in concretely. That means abstract understanding should be there, then dived in concrete level, even at developer level. So this helps solve deliverable stage defects and business technical mismatch. Actually, business and tech solutions agree at the project initialization level, that is the marriage. But at the business technical mismatch and the QA level issues arise during the delivery, that is where the divorce happens, where the tech and the business, the people who are trying to create the software and people who create the software. So QA and UAT consideration at dev level coding level is also very important, just like the mitigation of later defects. So what we see is even higher level opportunities in Google or similar companies, in larger companies. The approach is software developers in test, SDT. So software developers themselves, so software engineers themselves should be in testing. So QA engineers should be in testing, and they should be in support and continuously working in leadership. So software engineers themselves should test the product and the software, and in order to understand test the product themselves, they need to understand the abstract picture before diving in concretely. Just developing at the concrete level without seeing the abstract level, which is the most case scenario, impacts and creates the divorce of tech and business. So therefore, software developers in test, engineers themselves, developers themselves should understand and think like an architect, understand the bigger picture, understand abstract picture, and provide test developable body for this. For example, TDD, test driven development, is one of the major context at unit level, but ideally expandable into module and integration levels. Understanding the business, defining what they are going to develop in test framework, then developing. Therefore, the product therefore the engineers themselves understand what they are developing, and also mm, it will help remove defects during delivery at the QA level. So therefore, better understanding of the engineer business requirements are there at the engineer level. So if TDD done right, because there are several types of implementation in practice, if it is done right, it will it will consume more time, but definitely it will remove much of the impact, because mainly client satisfaction comes when the product is defect free, not just because the product is big, fancy, and uh, fancy and big and complex and those things. Because once you buy a whatever complex product, be it a laptop, let's say a fan, it's a basic electrical product, or be it a laptop, which is a very complex integrated chip product. If it has a defect, definitely, regardless of how complex it is, you would be you would be blaming the brand or the shop, or you will never be satisfied. So therefore, the importance is dev level understanding at abstract level and proper implementation of coding level mitigation of the things, because if they understand the business completely, they will be able to uh, write tests, then write code. So that will help mitigate and ensure not divorce of tech and business does not happen. So final touch up, we would see take time and think. It's okay to do that. That is like plan before development, QA, elicitation. It could be any task. Just take time and plan. Because if you don't plan, if you do not plan, then you are planning to fail. So therefore, just plan, take time and think. That's completely okay. And allocate time for that. Not just starting coding and no any task, be it just at least 25 or to 50%, or it depends on the requirements of the task. If it is intense, even more, if you plan it, you will be finding a very simple way to do it, because you will be able to list and write down information. You seem useful and create mind maps on paper, because it's easier to draw, because mind cannot store much in the temporary storage, in the just like cache in this laptop, which is limited. You cannot store larger mind maps and draw pictures on the brain. So therefore, it's easier to create right on the paper and create the line. It will enlighten you, and documenting everything will help you future review and make it clear and concise for future review. So therefore, the ideal thing is taking time and thinking. It could be high amount of time, but that is highly reasonable if you are doing it right. Because rather than doing it in 8 hours, if you think for 2 hours, you would find, or even if you think for 4 hours, you might find a way to do it in 1 hour. And you would be finding an effective way to do future tasks also in 1 hour. So, and also you would be finding a way to simplify the thing, and you would be finding a way to clear defects, because as you have thought of it, you know the pain points and the issue. So simulate, emulate, and think. Taking time and thinking is best for all the IT professionals, regardless of whatever the task they are doing. So in this slide, we are coming to a conclusion now. So the key takeaways would be software engineers needs to look at the bigger picture and think like an architect. QA needs to cover real world use cases. Rigorous and proactive work with the developers will help them. Business analyst needs to understand the business requirements within the client's shoes. So therefore, understanding within the client's shoes gives them a light vision for the business. Architects should ensure business and tech aligns till delivery and beyond, ensuring no divorce between tech and beyond business happens. DevOps leverage new stable trends and up-to-date technologies, therefore minimizing impact on the non-functional requirements, and also minimizing security and similar issues. So also sales providing cost-wise estimation rather than man hours for task efforts. This is something also considered for project managers. So to provide clear visibility and enable value added development. So you actually add value and also provide clear visibility to the business, because the people who mostly request software are not software engineers themselves, and they know numbers better than softwares. So if you provide something on their own shoes, on their terms, it will be easier for them to understand the numbers or the amounts, rupees or the values easily rather than high level task. And also it enables you IT professionals to provide value added development rather than reinventing the wheel. So in summary, today we looked into multiple platform, multiple client, more business effective, architecturally sound solution design. That is how we architect platform business. Therefore, thank you everyone for listening. And if you have any questions, you are free to ask.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Senthuran.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Senthuran, for that insightful session. Anyone have any questions? You can raise your hand, and I can unmute you from my end. All good, Senthuran. I think everyone is quite clear on the topic. Thank you once again for joining us on Tuesday afternoon, and thank you everyone else for joining the session as well. Stay tuned for more. Session 10 is coming out next month, something interesting as well. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Senthuran.
Thank you.
Thank you.